Cristiano Ronaldo choosing not to play a league match by his own decision, when he's fit and available, is the kind of headline that instantly gets everyone's attention. This is a routine rest day or a minor knock. According to fresh reports out of Portugal, the Al Nassr star has decided to sit out the club's next Saudi Pro League fixture for a very specific reason, and has nothing to do with injuries or family matters. The match in question is Al Nassr's game against Al Riyadh, scheduled for match day 20 on Monday at 16:45 Spanish time. On paper, it's just another league date in a long season. But what makes it explosive is what the newspaper A Bola is claiming about why Ronaldo will not be on the pitch. The Portuguese outlet, which has followed Ronaldo's career from the very beginning, reports that there is no medical issue keeping him out, no suspension, no personal emergency. As they tell it, this is Cristiano Ronaldo's own choice. And behind that choice, there's frustration with how the people who control Al Nassr are running things compared to how they treat the club's biggest rival. A Bola cites sources inside Al Nassr who say Ronaldo is unhappy with the way Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the PIF, is managing his team. That alone wouldn't be shocking. Players complain about club direction all the time. But the key detail is the comparison being made. The complaint, according to those sources, isn't just about Al Nassr in isolation. It's about how Al Nassr is being treated versus other Saudi clubs also under the PIF umbrella, especially Al Hilal. That's important context. The PIF doesn't own just one club. As part of Saudi Arabia's broader project to raise the profile of its domestic league, the fund took control of several of the country's biggest teams, including Al Nassr, Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, and Al Ahly. On paper, that should create a level playing field where multiple super clubs are built up at the same time. But from Cristiano's perspective, according to A Bola, that hasn't happened equally. And you don't have to dig very far to see why Al Hilal is at the center of his frustration. In recent days, strong reports have emerged about Al Hilal moving hard to sign Karim Benzema. The French striker is currently with Al Ittihad, another PIF-backed club, but his future there has been in doubt. Al Ittihad are said to have put a renewal offer on the table that didn't match Benzema's expectations. Then came word from L'Equipe that Benzema was close to jumping ship to Al Hilal, the current league leaders. From Ronaldo's vantage point, that would be yet another world-class name added to a direct rival that is already 3 points ahead of Al Nassr at the top of the Saudi Pro League table. Imagine looking up and seeing the team you're chasing potentially land the current Ballon d'Or holder, while your own squad barely moves in the market. That brings us to the second part of Bola's reporting. Transfers, or rather, the lack of them. Their article says one of Cristiano's main grievances is recruitment. He is described as complaining about the lack of investment in the club. While the PIF has helped fund headline-grabbing moves across the league, Al Nassr's winter activity has been almost non-existent. So far in this January window, they have brought in just one new player, Haider Abdul Karim, a 21-year-old midfielder from Iraq. There's nothing wrong with signing a promising young player, but when your biggest domestic rival is constantly linked with ready-made superstars, it's easy to see why Ronaldo might feel the scales are tipping the wrong way. At his age and with his ambitions, he isn't in Saudi Arabia to be part of a slow, patient rebuild. He came to win. Now, that's a point worth stressing. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't go to Al Nassr to stroll around and enjoy semi-retirement. From his first day, he's spoken about raising standards, making the league more competitive, and challenging for every trophy. He's still chasing individual records, but he also cares deeply about team success. Watching Al Hilal pull 3 points clear at the top, and then hearing they might bring in Benzema, while Al Nassr add just one under-the-radar signing, is the kind of thing that will grind at a player wired the way he is. So, if A Bola's information is accurate, his decision not to feature against Al Riyadh isn't a random act. It looks more like a message, not aimed at his coach or teammates, but at the people above them. The people at the PIF boardroom level who decide budget, sign-offs, and how aggressively each club is reinforced. That's a bold move. Skipping a league game is a form of protest, even if it's never officially labeled that way. Always carries risk. Fans pay to see him. Teammates need him. Coaches plan around his availability. When a player of his stature decides not to play despite being fit, It will always spark debate and potentially blowback. You have to look at where Al Nassr are in the season to understand why this is so sensitive. Sitting second in the table behind Al Hilal, there's very little margin for error if they want to keep the title race alive. Dropping points in matches where they're expected to win, especially against teams like Al Riyadh further down the standings, can be the difference between chasing and catching. Without Ronaldo, the entire structure of Al Nassr's attack changes. His goal output, his movement, the way defenses are drawn to him, all of that shapes how the team plays. Leaving him out isn't like rotating a defender or giving a backup midfielder a chance. It changes the whole dynamic. From the outside, we don't know exactly how this is being handled inside the club. A Bola is clear that their information comes from sources within Al Nassr, but the club itself has not gone public with a detailed explanation saying, Cristiano is sitting out because he's unhappy with the PIF. Officially, clubs tend to keep things vague. Technical decision, rest, or internal matter are the usual phrases. But when a player as high profile as Ronaldo misses a match and a major paper in his home country lays out a specific reason tied to management and investment, you can see why supporters are worried this could be the start of a larger conflict. This also raises a bigger question about the Saudi Pro League project. When the PIF stepped in and started pouring money into clubs, the goal was to attract stars and create a more competitive, marketable league. Ronaldo was a cornerstone of that push, the first truly massive global name to make the jump. He set the tone for others to follow. Now, if the face of that project is publicly or even semi-publicly displeased with how his own club is being supported compared to rivals, it doesn't look great. It hints at a tension between the idea of building several big clubs and reality of how top talent and investment are being distributed. Look at it from Cristiano's perspective. He signed on early, took the heat for leaving Europe, sold the vision, helped bring eyes and cameras to Saudi Arabia. Then within a year, he watches as Al Hilal and other teams pull in wave after wave of additions, including high-profile managers and players, while his side sees more modest moves, particularly in this winter window. He's 38 turning 39, not 25. Every season now carries extra weight. Title races are not something you can assume he'll get endless chances at, even in a new league. So if he feels the club's ambition doesn't match his own, it makes sense that pressure would build quickly. The Benzema angle is especially sensitive. Cristiano and Karim spent years together at Real Madrid, forming one of the most lethal front lines in modern football. Seeing the man who once played alongside him potentially join his biggest current rival, while he feels his own team is under-resourced, is a very personal illustration of this imbalance. Again, it's important to underline what A Bola actually reports and what we can reasonably infer. They are not saying Cristiano is trying to force an immediate exit from Al Nassr. They are not claiming he is refusing to play indefinitely. Their report focuses on the specific upcoming match and frames his absence as directly linked to dissatisfaction with investment and PIF management. What happens next will tell us a lot. If this is a one-off gesture and conversations behind closed doors lead to a reset, we might see him back on the pitch in the following games, perhaps with renewed promises about future transfer windows or internal changes. If, however, this turns into a pattern, more mismatches, more leaks about his unhappiness, more pointed comparisons with Al Hilal, the situation could escalate into a real standoff. For now, there's also the human side to consider. Ronaldo has carried immense expectations for 2 decades. At every club he's joined, from Sporting to Manchester United to Real Madrid to Juventus and now Al Nassr, he's demanded a lot from himself and from those around him. He wants infrastructure, professionalism, ambition. When he feels those aren't aligned, he doesn't usually stay quiet. At Al Nassr, he took on not just the task of leading a team, but of being the poster face for an entire league transformation. There's pride in that, but also pressure. Watching the club he's up against at the top of the table get stronger, while his own recruitment stutters, is exactly the sort of thing that would cut against his competitive nature. On the flip side, fans and neutrals will ask if this is the right way to show that frustration. Missing league games in a tight title race doesn't help his teammates or supporters, who have backed him from day one in Saudi Arabia. Whatever message he intends to send to the PIF might come at a cost on the pitch and in the standings. Al Nassr supporters will also be looking closely at the club's actions in the remaining days of the winter window and in the next one. If this episode leads to a more aggressive stance in the market, more high-end additions, and a clear attempt to match Al Hilal's firepower, some will say it was a necessary shock to the system. If nothing really changes, questions will linger about where this relationship is heading. And beyond the internal politics and transfer frustrations, this is another reminder of how much power star players now have in modern football. 20 years ago, it would have been almost unthinkable for someone of Ronaldo's status to simply decide not to play a league match for reasons unrelated to injury or suspension, and have that framed in terms of displeasure with club investment. Today, when so much of a club's brand and global pull is tied up in one superstar's image, their dissatisfaction can and does drive the conversation. What we know, based on A Bola's report, is this. Cristiano Ronaldo is expected to be absent from Al Nassr's match against Al Riyadh by his own choice. The paper's sources say he is upset about how the PIF is handling Al Nassr compared with other PIF-backed clubs, especially Al Hilal. They add that he has complained about a lack of investment, pointing out that Al Nassr's only addition this winter has been 21-year-old Iraqi midfielder Haider Abdul Karim. At the same time, their closest rivals at the top of the Saudi Pro League are heavily linked with bringing in Karim Benzema. The rest, what this means for the title race, for Ronaldo's future in Saudi Arabia, and for the PIF's broader football project, will unfold in the coming weeks. For now, one of the most competitive players the game has ever seen is using the only real leverage he has left at this stage of his career, his presence on the pitch. Whether that decision pays off for him and for Al Nassr, or deepens the cracks already starting to show, is the question hanging over the club heading into match day 20.